Hi everyone. Today I am going to speak about the acts or value, the acts that decrease your value like mine. Well, I will start. I think it's very important to know these acts or these activities will decrease your value like man, no, or your masculinity about that. And I think it's very important because when you know these activities, um, you want these activities in the future. I think it's very important in this case. And I think it's more important than if you do the activities that will increase your value. In my case, uh, will be very useful for me. And that's well. I will start. And the first activity that I think is very negative for you and decrease your value like a man. I think the masturbation. The masturbation, for being honest, reduce your masculinity and your testosterone. And I think that testosterone is very useful for you, like men, because you will get more masculinity about your physical. A part of that, I think is very useful in, for example, practically you automatically will get more girls. Uh, it's about it's about uh well, you get less nervous about when you speak with a girl. Not with a girl, it's with all the people you want to meet, and that. And I think in that case, it's very useful to get more testosterone. No? And apart of that, you will get more time when you practically delay this activity. No, uh, the masturbation. Practically think how how many you spend time when you practically touch your dick, no? Practically start to account how many time you spend your time when you do the masturbation, no? So in that case, I think it's very important. It's very important to delay this activity, and that's other activity that I think will discourage your value like mad is start to think or act to like a girl, like a girl. Particularly, I think when you do the activities that well you feel about your emotion or your feeling, and you do act about that. I think it's very decrease your value like men, no? For example, you feel nervous. Well, you act feel nervous. Do you think is a man like very masculinity and that's will act that? No, obviously no. I think that persons or the people that act like that in like emotions or feelings, I think is the chills and the girl. I think that. So I can consider you or I can tell you the thing is more important for about is don't act about your emotions. And that I think is very important. Other thing that I think is very important to know is don't exercise. I think when you don't exercise or don't activity to work out, no. I think particularly in decrease your value like man, no. It's other activity. It's not necessary to get muscle. You can do, for example, martial arts, for example, box, MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, or in other case, you can get more muscles about in the gym, no? And that I think is the fact of work out, I think is very important, and is it one of the four or one of the ways that you will increase your value like man, and I think it's very useful. It's very useful for being honest. Really, I consider that it's very useful for you. Another case that I think is very important but that people doesn't know is about your social cycle. I think your social cycle is very useful for you. And it's very useful. I can tell you that your social cycle practically will predict your future, your destiny, and that. And I think the reason that I consider it is very important, no? Well, in a social circle, if your friends are very, for example, lazy, and people that take a drugs and that, and you will be the person similar to the person to the your friends. And for the reason, I consider that well, your social cycle is very useful, no? Uh, in other case, I consider your social cycle is if your friends of your social cycle, they are very lazy, go to the parties all the time, addict for a porn, and that's. I think that the best advice that I can tell you is left. Left your friends. Stop to talking to about them and left. Leave your friends. Leave. Practically, I can tell you that it's more useful uh, pass a long pass a long time just you than with your friends because when you start alone, practically you start to think about your future, your acts, and that's and I can tell you that it's very useful for you. It's really very useful because you start to conscious about your activity, you start to think your mindset. Well, I think that activity is very useful, no? Start to be conscious with your mind, with your life, and that I can consider that, or I can tell you that when you start with your friends, you don't conscious about your life, what do you do, and that. So I can tell you that nothing is very important for you. Well, I can tell you in experience personal, when I was 16 years old, 17 years old, I passed all the time with my friends of the school. And well, practically the people that I pass time is practically losers, no? Because they start to watch porn, they practically scared of the girls, they don't have a girlfriend, they doesn't have a girlfriend, and that's I think is for me very normal, no? In that case, in that moment. But with the pass of the time, I saw other people that get girls, get more parties, get more friends, and that I tell me, what, why, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me or my friends? Uh, why we can't get girls? And that's well. Then I analyze the life of the other people to get girls, and that's with a life with my friends. I saw that well the hobbies and that is very different between they. So I say me well I have to left my friends. I have to really if I want to change my life, I have to do I have to do the action to leave my friends. So I did it. And yes, I tell you that it's really hard for me now because I pass time alone, alone in a good time. Really hurt me because I say me in that moment. Well, I will get more friends. I will get girls with this. Uh, probably I take a bad decision about that, no. But with the time when I go to the university, when I went to the university, and that I get more friends, and that is very cool. Practically get girls, more parties, and that and it's very wow, fantastic for me. Basically, I changed my life about to change my hobbies, no? I start to leave my friends that I consider that is unhelpful for me. Other to, for example, to delete other bad hobbies, for example, demonstrations or act like girls and that. So I think it's very useful for you, no? So in conclusion, I can tell you that practically more you have to be more conscious about your activities or your hobby that you consider is normal, no? For but have if you don't have the life that you want, so I can tell you that there are or there is a one hobby that that don't progress you about the life you want, no? So be conscious with your life. Well, thank you.